Hi everyone, we are live. This is Arsenal Fan Circle, Season 2, Episode 31. And if you're new here, hit the subscriber button and click the like button. Also hit that bell notification and you'll be notified of new content coming up. And if you're a frequent viewer, it's always great to have you here. Pull up a chair and come on in to the circle. Everyone's welcome here. Uh, Introductions, Rohan. I'll go counterclockwise this time. Rohan, welcome into the show.
Thanks for having me, Ray. What's up, guys?
Tony, welcome.
Hello, everybody.
And Stan the man, thanks for coming, Stan.
All right, Ray. Hi, everyone.
I hope everybody is enjoying the nice weather. I did a little bit of yard work yesterday, so hope everybody was able to get out and be responsible, socially responsible, all of those things. But the first thing we're going to talk about today is transfer business, how that's going to look like in the future. We don't even know what society is going to look like in the future, but let's discuss how Arsenal's business might be conducted in the future. Are we going to are the deals going to be monetary? Are they going to be high? Are they going to be low? Will there be swap deals? And let's talk about past swap deals and maybe what we can do in the future. Uh, Arsenal fans always remember we like a swap deal, don't we, Stan?
Yeah, we've done a few, but the thing is with the swap deals is that they're more complicated than they seem because everybody's got to be in agreement of where everybody's going to go to. You know, it's all well and good that maybe there's a player that you want from another team and he wants to come to you, but the player that you're offering has got no interest in going to that team. So there is a little bit of luck involved in these swap deals. But I mean, you know, looking at what you've put up there, transfer business, high or low, I just think that if there's going to be some way of, you know, crashing the economy, so to speak, in football, now is probably the best time to do it with what's going on. And just before we came on air, I was listening to something. I was listening to something on the radio, and something that startled me was that they were talking about Reading that are down in the Championship. And for every £1 of revenue that Reading brings in, whether that's through the gate or any kind of, you know, ancillary products, for every £1 of revenue that they bring in, they pay the playing team £2. You know, that kind of accounting, it just can't work. You know,
yeah.
I mean, they went on to say that Crystal Palace would be looking at a hit of about 30 million this season anyway. So if there is a way, I mean, the reason I'm talking about this is it got me thinking about the Arsenal player cuts, and probably the biggest outgoing for most football clubs is the salary. So everyone's talking about football coming back, and there's a big argument about, well, is it coming back too soon? And if it is coming back too soon, the reason that it's the football people want it to come back is because of the money that's involved. But then maybe if all of the players took a hell of a pay cut and they said, look, we're willing to take this pay cut, then there might not be such a call for football to come back prematurely, because football can afford not to come back prematurely. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm sort of going with this, right? It's all right saying, well, you know, as a footballer, I'm worried about coming back too early because, you know, the health implications for me and my family. But then why should you still get paid if you're not actually doing the job? You know, and it's gonna suck it's gonna bleed the club dry because they're getting any of the gate revenue, but they've still got to maintain paying out, you know, their highest part of what they pay out is to player salaries. So if you look at a model like Reading, for every £1 that they make, they're giving £2 to the playing staff. They're not even getting that £1 now.
No.
Do you see what I mean? And they're still having to pay out too. So if I was a footballer, I would actually be, because I keep changing my opinion with the more information that I get, right? And you hear different things and it gives you another perspective. And it's a good point. I'd be thinking, well, if I wasn't thinking that it was a safe time to come back and play yet, then the best thing that I could do would be to give up a high portion of my salary for that period of time, so that the club and the football and the FA, they don't feel compelled to come back because of all the money that's being bled. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, we have to think of it like they are an employee like we are. We go to work as well. We all go to work, and when we all breathe the same. We all breathe air, and we all feel the same way about our own lives and trying to protect them. And doesn't matter how much you're getting paid. You can catch the coronavirus just as easily as the next person. And if the regular person on the street going to work does not feel safe going to work, and how would you expect footballers to do the same? And similarly, if you're employed by a job and they're falling on hard times, I would probably be expected to take a pay cut as well. What do you think, Rohan?
I think that's fair. I think in the long run, for a club like Reading or for a club, that can't afford to pay these wages, I'm not talking about the top Premier League clubs because that for that I have a separate thinking which I'll come to. But for these sort of clubs, I think it's in the interest of players themselves in the long run to give up a bit of their money because if the team goes bust, then all of these guys are out of the job and they don't get paid. While if they help the club through this, then they do get paid in the long run. So it's basically a strategy that you can make to basically make your business survive because that basically has an effect on you. It's symbiotic in that nature. So that's one. But what this whole situation, Corona situation, has taught, of course, about self-sustainability that we've been hopping about for the past 15 years or so, and we've been trying to do that. But self-sustainability is now seen in one perspective, right? That you make a certain amount of money and then you spend that money. But I don't know how much cash reserves there are. And with the number of billionaires coming into the game, and it is a business, right? Now you've seen Newcastle getting taken over, and Man
Yeah,
City and every club is owned by a billionaire. So I think my proposal would be that each owner that is in charge of a club should put in at least 2 years worth of operating capital in the bank as escrow so that if any of these situations ever arise, or they choose to just bail out, they've lost interest in the club and now I'm going to go, but when you wanted to win, you've paid people super high salaries and now the team can't survive. So they should at least keep 2 years worth of money in the bank with the club to be able to survive. Playing, non-playing staff, everybody gets paid equally without a drop of revenue coming in. I think that should be the criteria for anybody to buy a Premier League club now, because these are institutions and they employ like hundreds of people, if not thousands of them, and
yeah.
they can't just be allowed to be run in a careless manner.
So, Rohan, what you would see in that situation would be probably a lot less clubs, maybe 25% less clubs throughout England, throughout all of the divisions, I would imagine, right? Because uh, and you're speaking sense. Have an escrow of 2 seasons for all of the staff to be paid and to float them through those seasons. But it would probably see some clubs going into administration, right?
No, but that's on the my proposal is that the owner coming in or the owner to be holding that club needs to put in that money at the very beginning. Now that Newcastle
Yeah.
takeover is happening, right? Now he needs to first put in that much money. Let's say a year's cost is without football is going to be, let's say, 100 million. You put that in the bank and you have to leave that in the bank. And when you're going away 2 years later, you can take that back. It could be refundable. There are things that can be worked out. But what I'm trying to protect is exactly against this situation where players have to take a pay cut, where the club itself goes bust, and that is because these owners have, for their passion or for their momentary gain, they've put such high wages. Let's say that Newcastle's new owner comes in and he buys him an Mbappe and pays him like 500 grand a week, and then he buys somebody else, Neymar, and pays him another 500 grand, and whoever. and then he loses interest after like 3 seasons, and he goes away. The club will not be sustainable if they don't get that sort of cash injection after that. So if he's raising the bill by that much, then he should be responsible for paying off that bill. That is financial fair play, per my opinion.
Yeah. Stan?
It was hard to disagree with that. I actually thought that there were instruments like that already in place. But if they're not, then as Rohan said, there definitely should be, because they can afford it, right? They've got to be responsible. But I mean, if you're a season ticket holder, and let's say you get a letter in the post tomorrow morning that says, football's not resuming, or football's resuming but behind closed doors, would you like the remainder of your money back for your season ticket? Are you going to say, yeah, I want my money back because there's no football and my billionaire owner can afford it? Or are you going to say, no, keep the money because I want to help the club out? There's two ways, right? I mean, we're saying it about the players, but also the fans, right? The fans have also invested money. They paid for their season ticket, for example. If if the club contacts you and offers you that money back, what would your attitude be? I want my money back. I'm not going to see, I want the money back because I'm not getting what I paid for. Or are you going to say, well, no, keep it because I want to do my part and make sure that, and it doesn't necessarily mean if that's a season ticket holder of a club like Arsenal. This could be a season ticket holder in Division 1. Yeah. And that money, by not taking the money back, maybe it would go a ways to actually helping the club keep its head above water. But again, that's going to be down to the individual, right? How the individual feels about things and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's something that's worth thinking about.
And thankfully, Arsenal fans don't have to worry about that because we have Stan Kroenke, and he will need to pay the operating costs if he wants to keep his custodianship. Is that what he called it, Rohan? They're custodians of Arsenal right now. But yeah, you're talking about lower league clubs like Reading and stuff like that. They definitely will need that help.
I think it'll be fair if all of these fans get their money back, and then you can voluntarily donate as much as you want, or you don't take the money back if you don't want to get that transaction done. But everybody should have that choice, because right now is a difficult time, and I would assume, like in a place like Newcastle, etc., right, like where there are a lot of working class people who go to football, and now those people aren't making money in that situation. I would feel empathized towards them, and empathy towards them, and I would want them to get their money back. But if it was some guy who hasn't been affected and he wants to support the club, then that's on him, right?
Yeah. So as Gunnan said, I'm going to echo. Shout out to everyone here in the chats. With Norma, we got Longberg Camp, we got Egal, and we got Noe. So thanks for coming in. A lot of talk about swap deals. So let's get into some of the swap deals. And Rohan, Arsenal over the years have liked the swap mechanism. I'm looking at the top 10 swap deals throughout the history of football worldwide, and we seem to be in the top, not the top 3, but we've got 3 in the top 10. I'll go through our 3. Ashley Cole for William Gallas. And we always seem to come out in the wrong end of these swap deals as well. Ashley Cole for William Gallas. That was an epic fail. Alexis Sanchez for Henrik Mkhitaryan. Not so good on both sides of the table there. And then Jose Antonio Reyes. We got Julia Baptista back from there. But those are 3 in the top 10 swap deals worldwide.
No, you said that. Did they?
What?
None of them are anything to write home about there.
None of them are anything to write home about.
We got the rough end of those deals every time.
Yeah,
exactly.
we Ashley Cole forced his way out of Arsenal, the best left back in the world probably at that time, right, Rohan, and we got William Gallas instead. Coming back
exactly. I mean, when you were talking about we like swap deals, and I was like, am I missing something here? Because you seem like awfully positive about us doing swap deals when all the swap deals were epic fails for us, right? Really, we
I'm a great believer in law of averages, Rohan. Eventually, things will work out in our favor.
we just don't seem to be ruthless enough to execute a swap deal wherein we arm twist a club into giving us a better player than what we give to them, right?
Yes.
You mentioned correctly the Cole versus Gallas one where we basically sold Cole for Gallas plus 5 million, and the only positive from that was that we got 5 million.
Yeah.
That was the only
Plus a
positive. But
future captain who would go on to wear the number 10, our greatest
Ridiculous.
player ever.
yeah, exactly, right. So I think that was an epic fail from us. We gave potentially the world's best left back at that time, along with Roberto Carlos maybe, and we saw what Ashley Cole did for many many years, and he's like one of the most successful players in England. And that was a big fail, and we got a centre back in return who just didn't perform and eventually cried in the stadium, like being
Yeah.
captain. So that was unacceptable. Then the next one was, the most recent one was, we got Michi and we sold Sanchez, which was essentially a flop for both sides. Initially, it was a worse deal for us. The day
Yep.
it happened, I was
Yep.
like, and I was a big fan of Mickey, like when he was in his Dortmund days, and I essentially thought that it was okay, but we got the worst end of the bargain there. But eventually, it turned out that they got it worse than us just because they were
Yeah.
paying like a
Yeah.
ridiculous sum of money, but
And
it wasn't notable for
let
us
me
as well.
let me ask you this question, Rohan. So by happenstance, we got Mkhitaryan, who was able to maybe lure Aubameyang to Arsenal as well. Do you think the Mkhitaryan loan or swap deal was essential to us getting Aubameyang, or you think Aubameyang would have come in any case?
I think he would have come in any case. I don't think the pull is so much for someone to for a player to be able to pull in that guy. I think there were issues happening between him and Dortmund board anyway, and the lure was, I think, more of Arsene Wenger than Mickey himself. So yeah,
Yeah, because we saw the video. We all saw the videos. Yo, Pierre, you coming here?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Gundam News, thanks for joining us. My here, how are you? How have you been?
Been alright, guys. How are you all?
We're good. We're good.
What's up, my
We just started with the first section, our transfer business. How do you see things going for us? And then just tell us about what you have thought about past swap deals worldwide and Arsenal, because we're 30% of probably all deals that have happened worldwide.
Okay. William Gallas for Ashley Cole. Way big L. Humongous L. Reyes for Batista.
Batista.
Humongous L. Like just keep putting on.
It just keeps going on, and then it kind of got even where we got Mkhitaryan, and we thought we were getting the bad end of the deal, losing Sanchez, who was a wonderful player for us for two plus seasons, and as it turned out, it was a pretty even deal on the field.
Pretty even in terms of Sanchez failing, but I
Output,
honestly I was hoping he would have succeeded though, like the partnership with him and Aubameyang, our top striker.
Yeah,
I mean,
rekindle that. And that's probably
you know,
part of their thinking in doing the deal. Rekindle that partnership between Aubameyang, Rohan, and Mkhitaryan.
But if you think of it, Mickey was a flop at United, while
Yeah,
Sanchez was a superstar at Arsenal, and we did that deal. So just looking at the power dynamics of that transfer, we initially also would have got the worst end of the bargain. It just eventually turned out that both were fails, but we were sort of the club that was getting the lesser end of the stick.
Yeah, and Stan, we kind of got ourselves into situations. So the swap deals came about because of the three personalities: Ashley Cole, Alexis Sanchez, and Jose Antonio Reyes. In Antonio Reyes' case, he was homesick and desperate to get back to Spain. Sanchez just wanted out, and we were already in the process of giving Ozil the deal.
But
Should I go to you? Yeah, Mahir. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but let me tell you guys, in a hypothetical world, we could have built upon, say, for instance, if Aubameyang did come still and had Sanchez. I mean, really frightening situation we could
That
have
would
been
have been
having.
frightening to put pair those two together in the same
Maybe
team.
Sanchez could have continued his form rather than going to a dead team such as United, a Plant FC as we love to call them. And I mean, just imagine that partnership that could have been established. I mean, whether or not he would have come, even though due to Mkhitaryan saying he'll
Yeah,
be
that's a huge what if. It would have been good to see. But yeah, Stan, we had the homesick, we had a player who wanted out, and we had Ashley Cole who forced to move as well. And at that point, we were in such bad position as a club. We just got the best deals that we could, whatever they were.
Yeah, I mean, with the Sanchez one, it looks like that we had no actual influence at all in what went down in that deal, and it was probably a case where United said, they probably insisted that we had to take Mkhitaryan. They probably insisted that we had to take him off their hands, and it's like we just went, whatever, we'll do whatever. So, as about keeping Sanchez, I actually think that whether we kept him or not, his form was falling off a cliff long before we sold him. It's not like he was playing really good for us and then he went to United and it just didn't work for him. He was rubbish for us before we got rid of him. And I just think that had he stayed, his form, I don't think would have improved. He's out on loan now, isn't he, for Man United?
Yeah.
And I know the season's, but he
wasn't
ripping up trees at Inter, was he?
No, not at all.
We sold a burnt-out player. I think he just burnt out. I mean, I don't know what it is with Sanchez, but I'd be very suspicious to see that if he ever returns to what we saw at his best at Arsenal. I think that was probably the end of him. Probably like a Fernando Torres situation.
Yeah.
Where he's just reached a level and he's just spent. Do you know what I mean? You may see little glimpses, but I don't think you will ever see Sanchez perform like we saw him perform for Arsenal at his best.
Yeah. The Assemble, thanks for joining us. Apart from the broken leg, Eduardo, we'd have won the league. If you remember how upset those young players, it took about 4 games for the squad to get things right again. I'm just going to tell you a story. I was just telling my wife, I remember that day, February 23rd, 2008, I believe it was. We were in the shop getting new tires on the car. I was keeping track of that game, and we actually were leading 2-1 right into the dying minutes of that game and conceded a penalty. And that was deflating for me. And when you hear about what happened to Eduardo, does everyone remember where they were, what they were doing when that happened to Eduardo? Because I can remember that day.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was a bad challenge at a time when it seemed like we were employing skillful midfield players, and referees didn't seem to give us protection that those players needed. Not that we needed special protection, but I just felt the referees never really protected us as a team in those years.
But I mean, we had that. We had the double leg break for Ramsey. We've had so many of them where
Abu Dhabi
players have
in Sunderland.
Abu Dhabi. Yeah,
I think we've been we're solely focused on Arsenal, but I think we've been harshly done by with injuries in the last 10, 15 years, let's say.
Matthew Debuchy.
Debuchy was another one. Yeah, that was the little Ibrahimovic, wasn't it? Wasn't it the Ibrahimovic knockoff?
Yeah.
Arnautovic, wasn't it? Who knocked him into the
Now, yeah.
into the stand. All
Broke
right.
his shoulder.
So what are we going to do in terms of swap deals? What looks good out there, Mahir? for
Two deals
Arsenal?
online. Apparently, it's looking like it is most likely to get done, which is Atletico in talks with Lacazette in negotiations at the moment. So maybe Lacazette for Thomas Partey, and the other one, Roma is looking like they would love to keep Mkhitaryan on further. So Mkhitaryan, and they would give us 22-year-old winger Cengiz Under. Now, Cengiz Under, I'm not sure if you guys have watched a lot of football as like myself. They over in Italy, but apparently this is a winger that we could develop. That our coach Mikel Arteta could develop further into a talent in about maybe 2 years or so. So he's actually far from the finished product, but I mean he's only 22 years old. For Mkhitaryan, who's about 30, he was coming to the last few years of his career.
Mhm.
I could see those two deals happening, and I would be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. Let's take the first one, Rohan. I guess for me, a lot depends on which Lacazette are we going to get in the future. The one of the last 12 months, or the one in the last year before the last 12 months.
Even the last the 12 months before last year, if you look at it, and I was just looking at the stats that Lacazette has posted in his season where he won the Player of the Season. He played 49 games, he scored 19 goals, and he had maybe 10, 12 assists. That's just not good enough to lead the line. You can't be scoring 19 goals in a season when you play 50 games. That's
Less
that's
than
a
one and
40%. That's a
Yeah.
40%. In 10
Return.
games you score
Yeah.
out of 4. Like that's just not good enough. Although I do think that Lacazette is a great player. He contributes a lot to the team, but his main job is to score goals, which he's not doing. The issue I think with Lacazette is that he's a confidence player. When his confidence is up, he strikes the ball at one go without looking at where the goal is, and they go in. But when he's off of form, he just can't get the shots away. He just finds it really difficult. He wants to take a touch, he wants to get the perfect shot in, and it just doesn't go in. So
Mhm.
it depends on the confidence that we can bring in him. But if I was selling Lacazette, or sending Lacazette to Atletico and getting Partey and keep Aubameyang, then I think that's a great deal for us.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree with that as well. Stan, Tony, who should be back to us soon anyway, was sharing with me the heat map under Lacazette for Emery and the heat map for Arteta in those group of games. And it seems like Lacazette's role under Arteta is a lot more withdrawn than it was under Emery. So he's being sucked more and more into midfield. And I don't actually believe that's his best position. He should be closer to the penalty spot, Stan.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes when he drops so deep that he's getting in the way a little bit. He's occupying space where other people should be. And, one of our deep lane midfielders, I'll get the ball, they'll look up to square pass, and they look up and there's Lacazette's face, and they're like, what are you doing back here? You should be
Yeah.
right up there. You should be right up there. What are you doing here,
Yeah, we've all played in those games where we're looking to pass and the guy's right beside you. You shouldn't be right on top of me. Space it out a little bit,
I mean, I was quite excited when I found out that we were buying Lacazette. I quite liked him from what I knew of him.
Yeah.
And I do like Lacazette a lot. But if we're I wish that could be sitting here now saying, no, we must be doing everything that we can to keep Lacazette at all costs. This is a guy that should be leading our line for the next 5 years. But if I'm being honest with myself, I don't see it to be that way. And if you look purely at the numbers, and for what we paid for him, the numbers are around Oliver Giroud numbers, and there was a reason that we got rid of Oliver Giroud was because as much as we liked Ollie, and as much that he could tuck one away. We've all seen the old Scorpion goal as well. The numbers he wasn't doing it frequent enough for us to keep into the Champions League, and that's what's happening with Lacazette. And we paid a lot more for Lacazette than we did for Oliver Giroud. So I think it's maybe time to try something else in that position.
So Maher, my confidence is getting a little bit higher in terms of Thomas Partey. I'm actually getting not carried away with myself, but I'm getting a little bit more confident about it. What's your confidence level with Partey coming to Arsenal?
My confidence level is the same as this fresh haircut that I've been keeping, some like Stan. It's very high. It's very, very, very high. Honestly.
All right, I'll go to Tony next. Tony, we've just been talking about Thomas Partey potential swap deal with Lacazette. Do you value Lacazette at this point? Do you think we're going to get the Lacazette of 2 years ago back, or will we have the same old Lacazette? And are you confident in the move for Partey in a swap deal?
I would just go ahead and pay the $43 million release clause and get Partey. I think there's a reason Lacazette was Player of the Year last season.
But I also think, Tony, that no club is going to pay that amount of money in the current economic climate right now. And maybe they're trying to trash out some swap deals. What do you think?
I think still just go ahead and pay the money, even negotiate the release clause down a little bit instead of doing a swap deal. I think there's a reason Lacazette was Player of the Year last year, and I think a lot of the chaos and stuff that was early in the season and his ankle injury just unsettled him a little bit, and he'll get back to where he was.
Tony, do you think that Thomas Partey would be excited about coming to London? Looking at the other possible destinations as well.
I think he'd probably like it.
Yeah. Rohan, what do you think?
So what's interesting is before I go into like exactly this question is that the 20 clubs apparently met yesterday or day before, and they had a conversation as to whether or not they want to finish this season, and all of them seem to be in favor of wanting to finish this season. That's what I read in multiple places. But then you've had, teams like Southampton and Brighton, etc., come out and say that they're not in favor of having these matches in neutral locations. So, I think everybody has got the memo that if you don't get the TV money, we're all in deep trouble. But they on the other side want to exercise some sort of pressure, saying that I'm not for these neutral locations. So it depends on how that plays out. That is very interesting, that we've sort of got to that position. Given that, I think that one is what we discussed last time, right? 20 million could be the new 40 million given the economic situation. So that 43 million release clause, maybe nobody is willing to pay that. And that's why I would hold on right now to the money and not basically put out any cash. A swap deal might interest me a bit more because there's no cash value in that as such. But any decision on transfers have to be taken once the whole economic situation is finalized and there's more certainty, in my opinion.
Tony?
Back to what Rohan was saying on the teams, they said they would be in favor of the neutral sites if there's no relegation. I feel that the neutral sites give the big teams an advantage for whatever reason. Neutral site, but they'd be okay with a neutral site if there's no relegation.
Shout out to Dory on tour. And Stan, you had a little tidbit of information about the link between Arsenal and Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, that's right. it's the reason that Arsenal actually play in red and white colours, because the football kits back in the year whenever it was, many years ago, the football kits were donated to Arsenal by Nottingham Forest Football Club, and that's why we play in red and white.
So with Dory coming on tour, coming on here, he's an Nottingham Forest fan, so big up yourself. And there is that connection. We always like to. We talked about it before, Stan, but it's nice to tell a Nottingham Forest fan if they don't know that already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So the other deal, we're all maybe generally in favor of that would be something Partey coming, Lacazette going, and let's talk about the other one I hear mentioned, Henrik Mkhitaryan Stan, and under coming our way. A Turkish international, maybe, I'm not sure, right?
Yeah.
Well, they offered 10 million euros, didn't they, in the last window to keep him?
Yeah.
And Arsenal turned that down. And if you look at the other player, the other first squad player that's out on loan, Mohamed El Neni, he's just doing a season at Besiktas, and they obviously like him because they've asked for him to be on loan again next season. Where I would be thinking, well, if he's obviously gone there and they like him and he's proved himself, why don't they just pay a fee? But this is showing you the kind of climate where we are now. Because as I mentioned on the last show, we've got a lot of players who are going to be coming into their last year. And a lot of those players are players that I know a lot of Arsenal fans would like to see move on. Socrates, David Luiz, Mustafi. There's three right there, right? We all know about the Ozil situation. But if you look at those three there, and you look at maybe someone like a Socrates, in a normal climate, if the season was still going on as normal, we're getting near the transfer window, and someone like Socrates is coming up, is going to be available, you may see a team, say from Turkey as example, they might pop up and say, yeah, we'll give you 15 million euros, 20 million euros for him, and maybe a little deal could be done. But these clubs that don't have a lot of money anyway, maybe that 15 to 20 million euros that they would spend on someone like Socrates is not going to be something that they're going to be able to do because of the way that this season's gone. So then does that mean that a lot of these players that we would like to see move on, are we going to offer them contracts so that they don't walk away for free? Do we not offer them contracts and they walk away for free? And if we are going to offer them a contract, usually a player is expecting a bit of a pay rise, yeah? When you extend your contract, you're expecting to get a little bit extra. Well, we're telling the players that we want them to take less. So it could be a real standoff situation where the usual kind of 15 to 20 million cheeky little bids from a smaller team abroad for some of our dead wood, we might not get those in. Because El Neni is obviously, he's proved himself at Besiktas. They don't want to pay any money, they just want to extend the loan. So, we've got to be careful. We've got to see how this is all going to shake out, how this is all going to play out. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with these, I think it's 5 players who we need to make a decision on. And one of them is quite interesting because one of them is our young star Saka. He still hasn't put pen to paper yet. And the longer that drags on, the longer that worries me as well.
Yeah. Rohan, it seems to me what Stan's talking about, we have a lot of work to do in terms of players going out the door still, and let alone bringing players in. The current situation economically is not amenable to buying and selling. It's going to be more lended to, I think, swap deals, which are extremely difficult to do, as we mentioned already. Are we in a situation where we're going to be in a status quo, where we're going to stand still a little bit in this next window coming up?
Yeah, I think that we should concentrate on quality and bringing up the quality and not making transfers for the heck of it, right? Because that's what puts us in a bad position later. So all of these players who are in 1 year, who have 1 year left of their deal, Saka we have to sign. There's no doubt about that, and I think he will sign if he put a right contract in for him, because no other top club is going to give him as much playing time as we do. right? And as long as we can make some commitments to him about the playing time that he's going to get, I think that he's going to sign. And since he's on such a low wage right now, it could be a decent wage that we could sign him for, even if we make his salary 10 times what he's making now. It's still a decent wage. Now, for the others, your Socrates, Luis, I think get rid of them for a lesser amount if we can, because that's what the market is right now. There's no point in extending their deals to be able to sell later, because they're all on the wrong side of 30. They aren't great players. They're not going to fetch us a whole lot of money anyway. Luis, we signed for 8 million. If we get a part of that 8 million back, that should be good enough for us, right? El Neni, we signed for 5 million. If we get something out of that, that's good. But get them off of our wage book. Socrates, get him off, because he's a high wage earner, and then concentrate on quality, because a Socrates swap, you're not going to get a Rafael Varane when you swap Socrates. You're going to get another Socrates, right?
Why can't we do those kind of swaps? They get down to us.
If only. If only, So that's
what you mean, like we
that's
swap artists for like Matthias de Ligt?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Juventus is just waiting for us to call them. They're like, oh man.
Can we
This is quite
can we do that to Gazidis at AC Milan? Can we do that to Gazidis at AC Milan? Send him some jobs.
This is quite amusing. When I started my FIFA career on the latest FIFA, the first thing I managed to pull off, and I was thinking, why can't the transfer market be like this? I got rid of David Luiz for Upamecano.
Yes.
It was something like plus.
That's why it's FIFA.
Million. I had to give him like 2 or 3 million as well. And I was thinking, why can't we do this in real life?
I want to live in that world for a little bit, Tony. What do you think?
Sounds like good to me.
Sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, as Rohan said, Tony, if we can pull off a Lacazette going to Atletico Madrid and we could pick up a Thomas Partey, I think that's some good business right there.
And I'd still like to keep Lacazette.
Oh man, you want to have your cake? I need it too. All right, Mahir, let's finish up on this section. Any final thoughts, Mahir?
I think that's really about it. The other deal that was talking about was, I do not understand everybody saying that we should sell Torreira and bring in somebody like Frank Kessie from AC Milan.
That's Gazidis, the Gazidis connection again.
What are they? What illegal substance are they taking that alters their brain to think that this would happen? And people are defending Xhaka like Xhaka's this all-important player in our squad over Torreira. That I can't understand. That's my final thoughts. I can't understand what substance they're taking.
Yeah, Rohan, there's a certain section of fans, and I'm starting to believe this section of fans will never be, their mind will never be changed on certain players. They want to hold on to Lacazette forever. Xhaka maybe as well, maybe not as much Xhaka, but what do you think, Rohan?
It's about looking at the quality and trying to get better than what we have right now. Let's say this is the situation that we are forced to sell Aubameyang, like we've discussed many times here. If somebody comes in with a 60 million offer and he just isn't going to sign, we will have to sell him. In that situation, maybe I keep Lacazette because he'll give some semblance of continuity, and because whoever else is gonna come in, let's say this Celtic fellow, he comes in, and we have to give that guy time as well. So we need to have someone senior who's sort of going to chaperone him through that situation. So it depends on multiple factors. There are multiple moving parts to it, but I don't really think any of these players are these great players that are so vital to the team that we just have to keep them. Xhaka, if you get money for him, good money for him, you sell him. if you don't get good money for him, you still probably sell him and you get like somebody else in that position, because that's such a vital position for us. Similarly, in our center back positions, attack is a little more let's see who goes, and then we have to get in accordingly.
And I'm just going to give you all of the swap deals that I found. Arsenal's got 3 out of, I think, 9 here. So I'll go through them in the years just to jog some people's memories. Roberto Carlos and Ivan Zamorano in 1995. I'm not in any way suggesting this was the first swap deal ever done, but in recent memory, this is what it is. Diego Simeone went one way and Christian Vieri went another way in 1999. And Francesco Coco and Clarence Seedorf, they swapped as well. Some high profiles in here. Ashley Cole, William Gallas, we know about him. We know about those two. Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Samuel Eto'o. That was a big swap deal. Now I'm going to say worked out for both parties, and you're not going to be able to say that in many cases. Alexis Sanchez, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Jose Antonio Reyes, and Julio Baptista in 2006. And the last one was within the Premiership. Nemanja Matic and David Luiz, your old friends, man. David Luiz. So those are all the swap deals. It's not an ideal situation, but it could be a situation Arsenal has to dip into and explore again this coming summer.
Out of all of this, if you look at it, only the Ibrahimovic and Eto'o transfer was the one in which you can say that both sides got quality.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it's always one side that sort of lost out.
It didn't really work out well for Barcelona, though, did it? Because Ibrahimovic, he didn't really fit in there at all. That didn't really work out as well as it. I bet they probably wish that they'd kept Samuel Eto'o.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think there were some issues with Pep, and that's the reason why he sort of got rid, right? And Messi was on the rise, so he had to give him the playing time. But what was funny was that you get these articles about the best players to have never won the Champions League, sort of a thing, right? And Ibrahimovic is right up there. And what's funny is that when he was at Barcelona, then Inter won, and then he went to Inter and Barcelona won, in consecutive years.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's our transfer business. Who knows what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. High, low transfers, we kind of feel it might be low just because of the market, what the market can bear. And I think swap deals are going to be the way to go in the next few months. But next section, I'll kick this off. Are our players mean enough to really compete for places? Is there enough competition in the squad? So I think Rohan suggested this topic as well. So Rohan, you want to start off? I was going to start off, but it's your topic.
No, sure. So I think that this is well established that our players aren't ruthless enough with each other, and we've seen with the whole Sanchez situation where people would rather be too goody-goody with each other and not point each other out. And I know in no way condoning what Sanchez has done, but he did want to do the best for himself and for the club. Today I saw a clip of him running through. This was a game against Tottenham, and he was running through, and Ramsey was too late to pass him the ball, and he just jumped in absolute anger.
I saw
right?
I saw it as well, Rohan. Rambo never saw him.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that one party was right or wrong in the other side, but he was just so affected by it. It's not like I'm not saying that he was right and Ramsey saw him, but he was just affected by it. Other players just sort of walk back, and that's all I'm talking about. But the reason why I had asked this question is because I recently read about the sort of feeling that Van Nistelrooy used to have towards Henry, right? He would score a brace, but he would not talk to anyone on the bus ride back because Henry would have scored a hat trick, right? And the reason why I asked this question is because we have two strikers in our team, like who are really good, world-class strikers. But I think they're just too good friends with each other. They aren't competing with each other. They aren't raising the bar with each other. I think they're happy. Aubameyang is happy to play out left because his friend can play up top. But if they both had to compete for one position, it might have brought the best out of Lacazette. They might not have been such good friends, but it might have worked out for the better, for Arsenal. And I was just thinking
Right,
that
right. So
why is it that these players...
instead of enabling your friend, let him catch his own fish. You know what I mean? Instead of catching it for him, let him catch it himself. Right? He could have had a better career so far.
Yeah, and I feel like strikers generally are never friends, right? Like, you sort of have to have that animosity or that rivalry, let's say, and that helps it. But in Arsenal, I feel like everybody is friends. It's okay. We just earn our wages and go back. But there isn't this thing that I'm going to stamp myself in Arsenal history.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you suggest this topic yesterday, and we're going to talk about it today, saw a couple of things on Twitter. One of them was about Dennis Bergkamp. I don't know if you've all seen it. A little clip from Arsenal.com. It was going to be an hour-long feature on Dennis Bergkamp, and he said the English players are the most critical players to play with, and he benefited from having lesser known players like Stephen Hughes, Ian Wright, and Adams and Keown, and they gave him hell in every training session. So he was ready to play on the weekends, and he really he was like, okay, now I know what it's like. I'm going to go out there, and if he could score on Tony Adams and Keown, then it was going to be so much easier every match day back in those days. But Dennis Bergkamp had those English players prodding him and pushing him. We don't have that in this team, in this Arsenal team today. The other thing that brought to mind was Cesc Fabregas in the interview, and he witnessed it when he was young. This tackle it was a raw tackle in training, and Lauren went over to him and said, "This is how we know we're going to be ready at the weekend." And I'm thinking, Mahir, I'm thinking that we don't have that in this team, in this Arsenal team right now, and we are just too friendly to each other.
Yeah, let's look at if we just quickly go from front to back, okay, in the back, right? Amongst our 8 centre backs, we've maybe got three centre backs that are decent. You go to the left hand side, basically it's only Tierney, Kolasinac not good enough. Tierney, nah, like Tierney, we want him to succeed though. Kolasinac not good enough. Right hand side, Bellerin's got no competition. We brought in Lichtsteiner. Oh my days, that's not competition. If you want, I would say buy Max Adams, get rid of Bellerin, keep Cedric Suarez and Pablo Marie, right? There's our backline. If you go into the middle, Granit Xhaka not good enough, then you've got like Guendouzi, who's maybe a future star, and Torreira. And then the rest is like Joe Willock, Reece Nelson. All of those are too young and like a lot of on the tier list of world class, future star, binge baller, or fringe baller, as they say, and Deadwood. You'd probably put him in fringe or Deadwood, which means there's literally only 2 out of maybe 4 or 5 midfielders. And then you go to the front line, you've only got literally Aubameyang, Martinelli, I would say. And even though I love Xhaka, and I'm not Xhaka, sorry, pardon me, guys, don't ever use that. Don't ever use that. Even though I love Laka,
Xhaka Laka.
there's an opportunity to get quality, as Rowan has said, as Dan said, as Tony said. If there's a chance to get quality over that, I would actually increase that. Also, maybe get somebody like an Edward if we got rid of Laka. But Oba and Martinelli, literally the only people I see. Maybe Pepe once you've given him time. Considering we paid so much for him, but I afraid that's going to happen. Like
Yeah.
there's no competition really. Eh?
Yeah, I want to say shout out to Charlie Harris. I know him. He's been watching for a long time. I think he's just bantering the two of you guys. I think it's just banter. It's all in love, I believe. And he's got a question: who would you start left back next season? Saka, Tierney, or Kolasinac?
Tierney.
Saka.
Yeah.
Tierney.
Saka or Tierney.
All right, Stan and Rohan, who would you play left back next season?
Well, there's only one left back actually on the list, and that's Tierney.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Tierney gets the shout here. Tony, I'm gonna let Stan collect all the information so we can get a good monologue from Stan on are our players mean enough to really compete for places. Tony.
I think what question mean enough is kind of different. Sanchez was just a cunt and wasn't really competitive.
Tony,
Don't hold back.
Tony, my mum watches this podcast, man. What are you doing?
Sorry. Sorry, Mom.
A cart. He said a cart.
Don't got you.
A cart.
Bloody hell.
I just
Keep trucking, Tony.
I don't think they're competitive enough.
Yeah. Is the squad not strong enough for our players to actually really compete ugly enough for places?
I think the team selection shows that there's hardly any variation on the starting 11. It's almost always the same players, so there's not enough competition. And
Charlie, I'm going to call him a French boy, not a prison break. Not a prison breaker. He's French. He's a baker.
Onion seller.
Yeah.
An early memory that I have, of football and also of a movie based off of football, and which was basically Goal, when he goes to Real Madrid, and they show right. So Santiago Munez is the striker there, but Real Madrid already had a striker, Harris Fellow. Yeah, from Newcastle he goes to Real Madrid, and that's
going to happen.
Already.
That's going to happen the other way around now.
The other way around,
Real Madrid to Newcastle.
Exactly. So that's going to happen the other way around. But in that movie, you see that this guy goes there, and then the animosity he has with, or rather the existing player has with him, that the new guy has come and he's going to take my position, etc. And I just don't see that. And maybe that's just me who thinks that if Lacazette and Aubameyang had a little bit more rivalry, they would both do better. But maybe we don't need that in the modern game. I don't know.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to come to Stan next. He's been quiet for a few minutes, soaking up all of the information we've discussed on this. But yeah, I think there's not enough competition in the squad for players. I can't imagine Martin Keown sitting still while Boldy or Tony Adams or someone else was taking his limelight. Stan, what do you think about the whole situation?
Well, the part about the team not being mean enough, I think you can kind of trace it back to the early part of Arsene Wenger's reign. Yeah, I mean, he inherited those English tough defenders that we already had at the club, but then he added to that with players like Vieira, Lauren, Colo, Gilberto, Petit. So in the first part of Arsene's reign, even though we were playing good football, you couldn't rough us up because we had these characters that were in the team. And once those characters left, we kind of replaced them with sort of more lightweight players. You know what I mean? Players like Alexander Hleb.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use him as an example.
Rosicky.
Nice player, don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
with too many players of that kind of mentality, if that's the right word, in the team at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, people, as I say, people like Lauren had gone. You know, Song had gone. Torre had gone. We didn't really replace them with these tough people. And you must have noticed over the last, say, like maybe 6 or 7 years, how many footballers from other teams, when they're talking about their experiences about playing with Arsenal, a lot of them do come out and say that when we see them coming up on the calendar, on the fixture list, we kind of just say to each other, right, we know what we've got to do when we go there. We just got to rough them up a bit. Don't let them have the ball as much as they like it. And if we can unsettle them, it will put them off their game for the rest of the match, and we may get something out of this. That's kind of like the in word about playing Arsenal. And I think that we may have turned a corner a little bit with that, because we are getting some stronger players. I mean, Guendouzi loves a little bit of a tear up. He's not the biggest lad. He's straight in there. Socrates, he likes to have a little bit of it and stick up for his mates, as does Luis, Mustafi, Xhaka. So I think it's getting a little bit better, but it's just unfortunate that a lot of the players that I've named, the ones that are kind of, you know, they don't let us get pushed around, these are a lot of the players that I would like to see the club turn over. So I just hope a lot of these players, you know, we get the right kind of players when we replace them. I don't know much about William Saliba. You know, so someone like him, for example, I've got no idea what his sort of temperament's like. But just going back, I mean, one of my first ever Arsenal memories, I must have been about 7 or 8 years old, and I was watching an FA Cup final over the Adventure Playgrounds. And it was, I think it was Arsenal West Ham. And I don't always remember, was it Willie Young, big ginger hair, when their player was running towards our goal, and there was no one between him, just their player and the goalkeeper, and Willie Young just run up behind him, couldn't keep up with him, just sized him down. I'll always remember that, and for some reason I kind of enjoyed it. You just wouldn't see anything like that now. He had to take one for the team. You had to, because it was going to be a sure goal, right? But I'm going back quite a long way there.
Did he get sent off?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
A long time
That's
ago.
exactly what this guy for Real Madrid also did in one of the. Was it the Super Cup? Was it? No, it was one of these matches. It was the Spanish Cup that they play, and it was in the 119th odd minute, and Morata was through on goal, and their Real Madrid defender went and he basically chopped him down, got a red card for the team, and Real Madrid won on penalties in that game. So yeah,
you saying that to me, Rowan, reminds me of Arsene Wenger's first 10, 12 years. We were criticized up and down for being one of the dirtiest teams because we were taking yellows and reds everywhere. That's disappeared in the last 15 years. We don't really have that in our team.
That's correct. But you know, my question, this fact that we haven't been strong enough to our other teams, to our opponents, is well documented, and that really wasn't where I was headed to. But I wanted to know, like, even amongst the players themselves, you know, is there that passion? You know, that okay, Xhaka and Torreira are playing, so are Guendouzi and Ceballos, are they pissed off that why am I not playing and raising their bar, or are they just happy to sit on the bench? You know, similarly, is if Aubameyang was playing as the striker and Lacazette was on the bench, would he really take offense and take it personally? Because, you know, back in the day, I used to play basketball, and you know, my best mates used to play basketball with me. But if I had, you know, my mate playing in the same position, you know, during the match, we would want to leave one on each other. You know, we would want to play rough against each other because we were competing for that one position in the team. But these guys, I don't know if they have that passion, because their bank account, when they go back, they're just like, it doesn't matter whether I play or not, you know. So from that perspective, like, are the players mean enough to each other? Do they have the will to compete for that position?
And that's exactly it, Tony. Right? The players are fat and happy to sit on the bench, check their bank accounts Monday morning, and be happy they're getting paid every week and not playing.
Yeah, I don't think they're competitive enough and want to fight for their position instead of just collect a paycheck and cruise on.
And as Steven said, big up yourself, Steven. We need some horrible bastards back in the team. We are too nice, and I think that is really a big issue in the team. There's two things, Matt, here that you need. You need that fire in your belly to play, and you have to want to have that desire to win. You need the talent, and you have to have that willpower and desire to win and be better than your opponent, because every Premier League game, the other team, they want to win, and they'll take advantage of any weaknesses you have in your team.
Yeah, man, like you guys have seen how many, I don't know if you guys have seen how many rants I've gone on to say passion and heart and fight.
Yeah.
If that means being dirty so you can win, get that vital 3 points, who knows at the end of the season, maybe during the last 3 games, you only actually need 1 point. You guys don't know what I'm referring to when I say only needing 1 point. And a game that has been played previously that you could have just put in that performance of your life could have provided you with that 1 point where you could have gotten the Champions League.
Yeah, when you say 1 point, it reminds me of a tweet that Egal put out. 1999 to 2000, Manchester United beat us to the title by virtue of drawing one more game than us that we lost. And you're right, 1 point, a few extra points here and there. And we could have beaten them in the FA Cup semi-final as well, and they went on and did the treble that year. And
yeah, my cousin was telling me about that. We had a chat about it, and he said, you know, if there was one thing we could have prevented, that.
Yeah.
I mean, even a treble season. We could have maybe made a double rather than that lot. I know who you are referring to.
Okay, so Stan, how do we rectify this problem that there doesn't seem to be any competition for places? Should Lacazette and Aubameyang be fighting for one spot? Is it a good thing that they're friendly or friends, or should they be competing for that place? Dan?
You're asking all of us. Or was you asking me, was you? Oh, sorry, I must have been miles away. I didn't know my name. Yeah, it's good that they're friendly. But I mean, you don't want to have a situation where, do you remember like when Teddy Sheringham and Andy Cole at Man United, apparently they just even talk to each other. So, I mean, you can have it too far the other way, right? Where it just
Roy Keane and Schmeichel hated each other too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Hated each other. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, we've seen Aubameyang give penalties away, right?
Yeah.
We've seen them give penalties away, and maybe it is a bit too comfortable, but it is nice to see that the team is bonding. It is good to see that the team are friendly and there is togetherness. And if you watch the, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but Arsenal released a Dennis Bergkamp by a documentary on the Arsenal channel on YouTube just a couple of days ago. Yep. And what's good about it is, I know there's a lot of Dennis Bergkamp documentaries, but a lot of those documentaries, it's usually other people talking about Dennis. Whereas on this one, you know, it's Dennis, you know, sat down front and center, taking you all the way through his career. And one of the things that he said about the, you know, the Arsenal side, that I think it was the one that won the title in 2002, or was it 2004? I think he talked about a 2002 title winning team. He was saying, like, you know, we went out at least once a week together, at least maybe about 8 of the players for meals. and we would take our partners with us, you know, and there was a very much a togetherness in the team. And I like that, you know. I like to hear that they are doing that outside of their work, you know, that they're happy enough with each other's company that they'll take their partners and go out for an evening on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, the feature. I like that feature.
This is what I'm working with.
That's what your cat thinks about when our strikers want to be friends.
Yeah, bunk ass.
Good on that topic, yeah. Stan flipped into one that defense on. I'm sorry, Stan. I just tell you what.
I wondered why everyone was quiet. I was sitting there thinking, why is no one talking? They were just sitting there. And I didn't realise you was actually waiting for me. So
It's all right.
yeah.
Rohan, any final thoughts to close the topic out, or you got any other points to make?
No, I think we've talked about it. I think maybe that's just the modern game that players are happy with each other, and of course, I agree that there should be a team camaraderie. You know, there should be a togetherness. But what I would like to see is that when they're on the training ground or when they're on the bench, there is some unhappiness about being on the bench. There is some unhappiness when you come off and you don't score. You know, you feel like, you know, that you would want to score there. You can't, you know, your day is not done. You don't justify your salary. You know, if they would feel like that, I think they'd raise their bar a little bit.
Yeah, and I remember a few years ago when we were really, really bad under Arsene Wenger, we played away to Newcastle. I think ultimately we lost that game because we were so bad away from home. But the one good thing about that was that Lacazette and Aubameyang did combine for a goal. And we were always looking for that combination for the two players to actually be able to work together. But actually, as time has gone on, I don't feel that they are compatible to play in the same side together. You know, I think you get the most out of them when it's one or the other in the team. But yeah,
I'd like to have seen us tried and persevered for a bit longer with a formation that had included Aubameyang and Lacazette playing up front together. And I would have liked to have seen maybe, you know, similar to the way that Bergkamp and Henry used to play, with one of those strikers being just slightly deeper, and one controlling in the box. But we've never really tried that. And I honestly thought that having two strikers at the value that they are, you know, the money that we've paid out for them, that we may have tried to have, rather than doing the shoehorning to fit the formation, maybe have a formation that actually fits the players.
Yeah. No, you got two big assets like that, Tony. You got to try and make it work. And I think if you look at our Arsenal team, such as Stan said before, we had a back four, and then we had a very, very commanding midfield that nobody would mess with. If we can get Thomas Partey or some kind of a good dominating midfielder in there, we could be a force to be reckoned with if we get Partey.
Yeah, I think we've definitely been missing grit for a long time.
Long time. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Good food for thought for everybody, and good contributions from everybody. So Mahir, you had your thumbs up, so you want to go first here. Player.
Nah, I'm going to take this one first. Player and manager of the season.
Player and manager of the season. Who would you? Right now, the season's over. Let's just take Steven's commenting first. Players are too nice. They don't have the heart and fight because they get too much too early. They get paid too much too early. And we talked about this on the podcast back in George Graham's days. Players weren't paid a lot of money. David Rocastle, Michael Thomas, all of those. We've come full circle right up to probably one of the highest paid players in the Premiership, not highest played. Mahir, player and manager of the season.
Okay, manager of the season.
Season is ended today. Who are you going to nominate?
Jurgen Klopp, manager of the season. for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Player of the season would have to be Jamie Vardy.
Wow, that's some good ones. They're not my pick, but good one. Do you think Klopp deserves it, Mahir? Because you could put that team on autopilot, they'd probably win every time, right? Who's the worst
I mean,
manager in the league?
okay, if you want, to
Anyone?
actually, if you want to really analyze it, I would love to hear what the panel has to say. Rowan, Stan, and Tony.
Let's trash out your not trash your suggestions, but trash it out. Tony, what do you think about Jurgen Klopp and Jamie Vardy?
Nope. No to both of them. I think anybody could coach the Liverpool side.
Jamie Vardy's been pretty good this season, though.
And I still want to give him player of the season.
All right, who would you pick, Tony?
I'm not really sure who I'd give it to.
But not them.
Not them two.
But not them.
Anybody, no, but like anybody, like I would love to. We want to hear actually because
Anybody but Jamie Vardy.
but definitely not the two of them. Yeah.
Rohan, your choices.
So I think Jurgen Klopp is a great shout, right? Like on the brink of winning the title against a Manchester City side, which is which is obviously one of the great EPL sides, and all of that.
Rohan,
But uh,
I'm
I
listening for
feel
one word, Rohan. I'm listening for you to use one word.
yeah. So but I feel like his job has been done over a long time, and I feel like they had played a little bit better last season than they did this season. They've had a lot of luck in their position, in their
Oh my God,
approach
yeah.
this season with City failing, etc., etc. So I
AR.
think,
VAR.
in my opinion, yeah, VAR exactly. So I think, in my opinion, the manager of the season would be Sheffield United's manager, Chris Wilder. He would be my manager of the season pick.
Yeah.
What he has done when he was going into the season, and every season, what we do, a few friends of mine and we basically put in who we think are going to be the top four or top six, who's going to get relegated, who's going to be player of the season and manager of the season, and we put it in sort of a vault, and we come back to it at the end of the season. And I looked at it a couple of weeks ago, and I had Sheffield United as rock bottom, because they had not invested in their team when they came into the season. And what they've done, they're above us in the table. They are in the fight for the Champions League, and that for me is a bigger feat than Liverpool winning the title with a lot of great players and with a lot of luck and help and VAR and all of that. So I think that is my pick for manager of the season over Jurgen Klopp. And player of the season, I think for me is between two players. That has to go to Liverpool, but between either Jordan Henderson, because he's not a flashy sort of player, we know that, but he's contributed with a lot of goals this season. And when he's not played, especially when they had this dip in form, that directly coincided with him not playing in the team. So that proved what's a massive part of the team he is. But if not him, I would give it to Sadio Mane for what he's done. The number of goals that he scored, important goals, a lot of points that he's picked up for Liverpool. So I think it would be Sadio Mane as player of the season and Chris Wilder as the manager of the season for me.
I felt the first thing was I was waiting for you to say asterisk when referring to Liverpool in their season.
Sure. That's why I said they're on the brink of winning it. They haven't won it. If it gets cancelled, then they haven't won it.
And we have to give, obviously, an honourable mention to Aubameyang.
Sure.
I'm being serious about that. I'm like, being serious about that. But yeah, Listen, I think Chris Wilder is a great shout from manager of the season. Um, no expectations, and maybe that's a good thing for a team to come through. But to come to the Premier League, be promoted, it's a huge step up in quality, and he's put his players in the perfect position in a system that works for them. They all work hard, and they get results every week. And they were going to have a tough run in. I know I've been looking at the run in months ago and remembered that, but um, they did. They don't ship many goals. They don't lose many goals. And I guess Kevin De Bruyne for me as player of the season. But Aubameyang right there, and I'm gonna hand it over to Stan, and I'm gonna check the goal scoring charts right now.
Yeah, well, Rohan kind of stole my thunder a little bit there because I agree with him on the manager and also yourself there. I'd go with Chris Wilder as well.
Yeah.
I think Klopp's a bit of an obvious choice. He's made some achievements this season, but like you say, it's been sort of like that's been embedded in over a longer period of time. And I think Chris Wilder, just like what Rohan said, you know, if he'd asked me at the beginning of the season, he'd say, give me one of the teams that's going to go down and it's not going to stay up. I would have said Sheffield, right? Not hardly any investment. So I think what he's done is fantastic. Player, I'll probably go with you, right, and go with Kevin De Bruyne. I think he's had a fantastic season. Probably one of the best players in the league, full stop. Definitely the best player in his position.
Can I ask you, Stan, similar to if we take Aubameyang out of Arsenal, where would City be without De Bruyne?
Yeah, exactly. And also Aguero as well, you know. But
Yeah.
the manager that I would pick for the worst manager would be Unai Emery because he was still part of the season, right? And I just think I definitely think that he was at that particular point he was the worst manager in the league.
Yeah, I've been watching on NBC a lot of past games, past years, and every time I see Peter Cech, I'm thinking, why the hell did Cech get the Europa League final over Bernd Leno?
Yeah, makes no sense.
Damn you, Emery! What the hell were you doing? You know. Tony, any revised ideas about player and manager of the season? Frozen. Jamie Vardy on 19.
Is he frozen or is he just thinking? That's like he's deep in thought.
Everybody is in a contemplative mood today.
Pulling a stand.
The mannequin challenge is old now.
Yeah.
Jamie Vardy on 19, Aubameyang on 17, and Aguero and Mo Salah on 16. So, but Mane has scored many, many important goals for, I think it was you, Rohan.
Yeah.
You mentioned Mane. He was vital to Liverpool, and you know I've been watching a couple of Liverpool podcasts, and they all talk about Jordan Henderson as well as being vital to their side. Tony, I don't know how we're going to get you to come back in. Tony, you're frozen.
He's not blinking.
Come back, Tony.
The reception might be
I'm going to
terrible.
hold a mirror under his nose, see if he's breathing.
Yeah.
Blink twice if you think Sadio Mane is player of the season.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can send us a message. I'm sure he can send us a message also, maybe in the lives.
Tony, don't move if you think Tottenham are shit.
Here we go. We'll probably come back in.
If you think Tottenham is shit, stay still for 2 minutes. I really wanted to stay still for 2 minutes. Oh, he's pulling his new face as well. Yep. That's his pissed off face. And to think Liverpool almost swayed Henderson for Clint Dempsey from Fulham. Okay, so while we're waiting to get Tony back in, we're going to do the next section, which Rohan has offered to do a quiz. Right,
Yeah.
Rohan?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
if anyone
So,
has anything to talk about while we're waiting, or
yeah. So I think, should I go ahead and explain the rules, or are we waiting for Tony?
we'll give Tony 60 seconds to come back in.
Okay. Yeah.
You
So
know,
I think this is a
Rohan,
good thing that we've got going on, right? Like with every Sunday we have some sort of trivia or quiz or something like that that just keeps everyone interested, and I find it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Right. So
Rohan, he's going to be pissed if you don't wait and tell him because he's going to object when he loses.
yeah. Exactly. That'll be one reason for him to basically raise objections.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne in that vault thing that I have, Kevin De Bruyne for 2 seasons has been my player of the season because he's just such a brilliant player. One of the best in that position ever. I think like the whippage that he has on the ball, and he's just a perfect midfielder, right? Who can score goals, who can pass, who can make runs, who can do everything. I mean, Ozil, I think, is a better through ball player than him in his prime, but just doesn't contribute to the other things of the game. That's just my opinion on
Kevin De
De
Bruyne.
Bruyne.
The thing about Kevin De Bruyne is what makes him such a world class player is he's an all rounder, man. Like he does absolutely everything that you would expect a world class midfielder to do. Everything,
Yeah.
everything, crossing, positioning, free kicks, contributing to assists, but like important assists, bombing down the wing at full pace. I mean, technical, everything.
Yeah, he's just a wonderful player, and to think that Chelsea let him go and then Salah go as
Yeah.
well, two of the
Yeah.
biggest performers of the Premier League. I mean, that was, that's something that I would really regret if Arsenal did. If you think about recent times, the only big miss that we've had of players in terms of their skills becoming better than what they were at Arsenal, I think it's only Gnabry. Except
Yeah.
for him, like
Maybe
players.
Maybe that kid that plays in the Eredivisie in the Netherlands, Daniel Malen as well.
Malen,
He's doing
yeah.
very well.
Okay,
Let him
yeah,
go.
Here's Tony.
but he's not like reached the heights of
No.
being a Salah or a De Bruyne, right?
Yeah.
Tony has moved location
Had to reestablish Wi-Fi.
right beside his Siri and his Google. Rohan, do you want to explain the layover quiz?
Yeah. So this.
Do I need pen and paper?
Yeah, we need pen and paper. So I hope everybody has pen and paper.
The baker is getting his now.
The jailbird.
Stephen, thanks for dropping by. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Participate in the quiz as well if you want. So, big up to Rohan for taking the pressure off me of coming up with a quiz. And
I'd like to do that because you haven't been put under real pressure. Now you will know what pressure is.
You don't know my knowledge in any way, shape, or form yet. All right.
So this quiz is called the layover Arsenal quiz, right? Like a layover generally, as everyone knows, is when you're traveling and you have a stopover or a layover in between, and then you go to your final destination or your next destination, right? So in terms of football, we have signed a lot of players from different clubs who have been at Arsenal for a bit, and then we've sold them and gone on to other clubs. So I am going to give you a series of 3 clubs in which the second club is always Arsenal.
Okay.
And I will give you the nationality of the player. You will have to guess who the player was. this is
Yeah,
in terms of.
will it be too easy
Sorry, go
if
ahead.
there's a nationality?
Will
Go
it
ahead.
be too easy?
It's your quiz. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so and in terms of these players are all, sort of prominent players, either recent or, all of them have been under the Arsene Wenger era. So this is 222 players played under Arsene Wenger, and these are a list of those players, right?
Oh.
Like, so I've got a few of them, and all you have to do is guess.
All right, people in the comments get involved as well. Okay, go ahead, Rowan. I'm going to shut up now.
And the fact is that if you're not able to figure out with this bit of information, then I will also tell you which time period they played for Arsenal. So that's the second bit of hint, right? So what you have to note down is right now, like that. So for example,
You're going to go
let me take let me take an example of Chelsea. Let's say, like, so they signed a player from Lille who played for Chelsea and then now plays for Real Madrid. Who is that player? Right?
Yeah.
So it's Eden Hazard. Yeah, correct. So in the same way, but Arsenal related. Yeah.
Oh, so are you doing first, second, third, fourth in every round?
No, it's not this thing. Whoever gets it, like, you get 10 points and so on. Yeah.
Do we have to write it down?
You get 10 or 0. Like, I guess that's what it is.
All right. Are you keeping?
By the time we get through these rules, the lockdown will be finished.
Exactly. So it's done. Okay. So are we ready for
go.
the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first player that I have is a Frenchman who signed for Arsenal from Marseille and was sold to Villarreal. He's an Arsenal legend, just to say.
Got it.
Has everyone got it? If you haven't got it, then you can let me know, and I'm going to tell you what period they played for. You're going to get 5 points for that.
Put your hands up if you got it.
Tony.
Tony's Googling.
I'm not sure.
Okay, and this player has played for Arsenal between 2000 and 2006. Okay, now. Okay, so Ray, who's your pick?
Robert Perez.
Okay, and Stan.
Francis Coquelin.
Okay, between 2000 and 2006, he played for Arsenal.
That's my answer.
Oh, okay. Mahir.
Abu Dhabi.
No.
For Diaby.
Okay. Okay, so Ray is the only one who gets this one, I guess. Tony, no? So it's Robert Pires. Robert Pires signed from Marseille and played for Villarreal, and in between 2000 and 2006, played for Arsenal. Right?
Yeah.
Now, the next one that I have, another played for Arsenal for a bit, not too long. Signed from PSG, and then we sold him to Real Madrid. And he's a Frenchman.
Yeah.
Played for Arsenal between 97 and 99. Any guesses? The rest of the people, I think Stan and Ray have their answers ready. Gonna give you like another 5 seconds.
Tony,
Is it too tough? Like, have I made it too tough? This quiz too tough? Okay, so Ray, who is it?
Nicholas Anelka.
Stan. Who else has that?
Francis Coconut, Nicholas Anelka.
Francis Coquelin. It's Anelka. Yeah. The rest of the guys, did you guys get it?
Nah.
Oh man.
Did you get that right?
No.
Hot
No,
on.
only 2.
Hey, my credibility is good.
Yeah. You're turning out well. Okay, so this guy, he's again a Frenchman, signed from Marseille, played for Arsenal, went to Milan. Bit of trivia, he signed for Arsenal once again.
I have the answer.
God damn it. There's three guys that have the answer.
His first stint for Arsenal was between 2004 and 2008.
He was a good partner for Cesc in the second stint in midfield.
Tony raised his hand, so I'm going to give it to him. Tony, who is it?
Now I ended up getting it wrong.
You don't know who it is, like till now. Okay, Stan.
Matthew Flemini.
That's right. Yeah. Who else had it? Yeah, I think Ray had it as well.
Maybe. All right.
Played twice for Arsenal, was part of the Invincibles team. No, was he?
Yeah. Here.
Mahir is on a grand total of 0 till now after 3 rounds played. So is Tony. Stan is at 20 and Ray is at 30. Come on, guys. Okay. The next one might be an easy one, right? Frenchman again. Signed from Chelsea, sold to Tottenham.
We talked about him on the podcast.
Exactly. We talked about him on the podcast.
Today, Tony, we talked about him today.
Mm-hmm.
Mahir.
Mahir is like, why am I here?
I've got the answer.
Okay, Mahir, I'm going to give you first chance then.
Are we talking about
Yeah. Who else had that? Did everyone have that?
What did he say?
I think
William Gallas?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm blind too.
So, okay. Tony, did you have that one?
Yep.
Okay.
And Stan got it right as well, right?
Yeah. I'm
All
guessing everyone has it as well. Okay. So, another, now round 5. Another Arsenal Frenchman signed from.
Yeah.
Why don't you just name it a French quiz?
No, but we had the famous French connection, right? So, and these are prominent players as well. Signed from Monaco, sold to Barcelona.
Yep.
Frenchman. Okay, everybody seems to have it. Tony, who is it?
TH14.
No, that's incorrect. That I had that as a trick question.
No, it's a trick. That is the trick.
I'm gonna go for Petit. Could be wrong. Manuel Petit.
It's
That is-
Petit because we signed Henry from Juventus.
Yeah.
We didn't sign him from Monaco.
No.
Who else had it? Stan,
I had that one.
you had that one? Okay. Mahir, be honest. No.
I really honestly didn't have. I had Henry.
Okay, yeah, because I knew that that a lot of people would think, because that's the bigger connection that people feel. But he was with Juventus before he signed. So 5 rounds done. Ray's on a roll. He's got 50. Stands close behind with 40. Mahir and Tony with 10 points each. Come on, guys. You've got to. Okay, let's do someone more recent, right? And
not a Frenchman.
not a Frenchman. Let's do this guy who isn't a Frenchman, who's quite popular with us. Signed for us from Malaga, and sold to Villarreal. Currently playing. Okay, 3 of you seem to have it.
We want him
Tony.
to come back. Go back to another year, please.
And he's a
Tony
Spanish
got his
player.
own song. He's got his own song, Tony. I'm sure you love this player. We all do. That's what Tony did.
Tony's going to host the quiz one of these days, so he doesn't have to feel this pressure.
He's played for Arsenal between 2012 and 2018, so he's quite recent.
Let Tony or Mahir answer.
Now you can even give Tony. Tony, I'm
Tony.
sure has the answer by now.
What's the answer, Tony?
Santi.
Santi.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Okay, did everyone have that?
Yes.
Seems like it. Yes,
Yep.
I'm happy to give everyone 10 points here.
All right, so Stephen Denham, who came back, this is a layover quiz. Rohan is giving the club before the player came to Arsenal, the club that after the player left Arsenal, as is, and we have to guess who the player is. He's an Arsenal player. Okay, Rohan.
Yeah, let's talk about the next one. And this guy, again, fairly recent, signed for Frenchman. Again, I'll go back to my French theme. Yeah, Frenchman again. Signed from Auxerre and sold to Manchester City.
Yeah,
Okay, Mahir has it, Stan has it, Ray has it.
I'm not so
Tony.
sure.
Yeah, because it's a choice between 2.
Yeah.
But which one?
Yeah. This one, Stan might get me on this one. That's a tough one.
Tony, do you have it?
Auxerre, Arsenal, Man City.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Okay. You're not sure? Okay, he played for Arsenal between, where is this guy? Yeah, between 2007 to 2014. So he won the FA Cup with us.
Was he a right back? He was a right back, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Narrows it down a bit.
And wasn't Francis Coquelin. I can tell you that.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
He sounds like an Italian fish. Sounds like an
Tony's
Italian.
having a brain freeze. He's just like, who is this person? Okay, come on, Mahir.
Tony.
Who is it?
Oh wait, who?
Tony, folks will be saying that you're taking the dogs for too many walks.
Hope's gonna love this one.
Let's mark it at 143.
Okay. So, Mahir, do you have it?
Bakary Sanya.
Yeah, that's right. Did everyone have it?
I did.
Apart from Tony, I think.
Tony thinking about Lee Dixon when you said right back.
Bakary Sanya. Yeah.
This
It
must
was
be
between Clichy and Sanya, right?
At first I was thinking Diaby, but then you said City. And I was like, okay, that's not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
3 to go for more.
3 to go. Yeah. Okay. Again, a recent one. We, in fact, played this guy last year. Okay. For his other team. We signed him from Villarreal and we sold him to Valencia, the Brazilian. Stan has it.
Okay. He's Brazilian.
Yeah, he's Brazilian.
Mahir he's pumped on this one.
Sold him to Villarreal.
Yeah.
When we signed him from where?
From we signed him from Villarreal. We sold him to Valencia.
Okay. I can only
And
be
essentially, we played him last season.
Yep. I got it.
Tony, if you guys can remember, we played Valencia. We played Valencia also in the Europa, and he was part
Exactly.
of that.
We say. Mm-hmm. This is all like now. This is a continuous effort of trying to make Tony remember who it is.
This is a tough one.
No, like I must applaud you, Ron, for this quiz, because this is truly where you have to honestly use your muscle.
Yeah, I just thought that this is like something different that generally is not done. Yeah.
But normally we fighting.
Exactly. Tony, do you have it? No? He's like now rebelling, even if he knows he's not going to say. Okay. Who wants to give the answer for this one? Mahir wants to give the answer. Yeah. Okay.
Gabriel Paulista.
Exactly. Yeah. With the head shakes, I can tell that the other two also had it. And
I was thinking Montreal. I was thinking Montreal at first, but it was Gabriel.
Okay, 2 more to go.
Tony's fried.
Okay, this guy, Arsenal legend, right? I'm going a little back in time now. Arsenal legend, signed from QPR, sold him to Manchester City. Englishman.
Wow, did he go to City or did he retire? He went from QPR to Arsenal, and then he went to City.
He played for Arsenal for 13 years.
Yeah, don't give me any more clues. I want to give Stan an opportunity to catch me.
City, who played for QPR and then went to Arsenal. And they went to City.
Is it a goalkeeper?
Sorry, don't want to give me an answer.
It is not.
Yeah, but I almost feel bad about it. Now I know who it is, but I thought he retired when he at the end of his Arsenal career.
They're good ones, Dan. Remembering that one. That was.
I don't remember him going to City, but
I mean, I just need to go to the toilet.
See, this is so tough, and you know,
really, my
pressure is immense.
podcast ritual involves going to the toilet.
He's asking Siri.
Okay, I think Ray and Stan have it. For the other two, he played for Arsenal between 1990 to 2003.
Signed for 1 million from QPR. I think Arsenal signed him for 1 million.
1 million.
Very cheap. David Seaman.
2004. I have an answer, but I don't think it's going to be the right one, though.
What is that?
I don't know. For some reason, I have something to do with Wright, like Ian Wright or somebody.
No, we signed Ian Wright much later and from Crystal Palace. Yeah. But yeah, I think the above two have it. Who is it, Stan?
David Seaman.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't remember him. It must have been he didn't play very much.
He played only for like 1 season, and then he retired from there. So yeah. Tony, did you by any chance? Can I put in some numbers here? Okay. We're in the last round. And actually, Stan, I think so Ray, let's be honest. Did Stan give you like this big hint by saying that he was a goalkeeper?
Yeah.
Okay. So
we're level, right?
So yeah, so this is now the sudden death situation between this one, and whoever answers first will win it between Stan and Ray.
All right, Stan.
Right? Francis Coquelin. No, it is not Francis Coquelin. That's another hint that I can give you. Yeah. Let me pick this guy. Okay, we signed him from Dortmund, and we sold him to Sparta Prague.
Rosicky.
That's good.
Thomas Rosicky.
Prague. Oh my God.
But I could be wrong because I've just the stress, the pressure went and got to me.
Alexa, can you hear me, Alexa? I need the answer to the question.
Please help me, Alexa.
Alexa doesn't recognize Sparta Prague. So, I'm going to give you the answer.
Okay, yeah. So I can probably Stan. Do you have it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah. It is who? Stan.
Thomas Rosicky.
That's right. It's Thomas Rosicky. Thomas Rosicky. Signed from.
I didn't realize he was there though. My goodness.
Yeah, but Ray actually answered it first. So, I think.
Does anyone?
It's essentially a tie, but yeah, I think Ray won this one.
Does anyone remember him?
I put my pen up first.
Oh, okay. Is that a thing? Ray shouted it out, which you weren't supposed to do, really. Like you were actually supposed to write it down.
Qualified then.
I'm on the podcast.
All right, let's do one more between Stan and Ray.
Okay. So I'll do one more. You don't shout it out. You have to write it down, right?
Wow, this is
every time.
serious.
Isn't it better to shout it out?
But I've already run. What's going on?
Shout it out.
VAR.
4 times.
VAR. So the decision is that it's a drop ball, right? So that means that you have to. I'm going to give one more question. You have to write it down. Write the answer. Do not say it.
Brian, it's better to shout it out, isn't it? Then you know.
You're turning into my thing. Rohan, you
What
turned
does
into Mike
what
Bingo.
does the rest of the crew want to do? Do we shout it out or do we write it down?
Come on the podcast.
Yeah.
Come on the podcast.
I thought we were holding
Who
up
are
pens.
you?
I can shout if you want.
What come for me? Oh.
That's what we were doing. Okay, we have to write it down and put up our pens, right? Okay. So this guy,
Right.
yeah, we have to write it and put up our pens.
Okay.
Okay. This guy is signed from Stuttgart, sold to Barcelona. Stan has it.
You got me.
Alex Song.
That's wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going
Oh,
to give
I
you
know who
another
it is
hint.
now.
He
I
played
know
for
who it is.
Arsenal.
I know who it is now. I know who it is.
He played for Arsenal between 2005 and 2008.
I've got my pen up. I'm going to write it down as well.
We mentioned him today in the
I've
podcast.
written it down and I've got my pen up.
Stan, who is it?
Alex Leb.
That's right. Good one, Stan. This is a difficult one. Stan. We mentioned him, and that time when you mentioned this one, I was like, how have you thought of Leb? Like when you said that this is one of the guys that that was the technical player, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You did
So
that.
I was
But-
good because when I had to write it down for the second time, I only had to change the surname from Song to Leb.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
was blanking the whole time, so I got a flavor of what the pressure was like a little bit.
But well done, guys. Like I know that this was like not the easiest one, and I didn't even like give a preview of what it was gonna be. But like especially like Ray and Stan, like you guys like really nailed this one actually. Like getting all of them for
Like
this
it.
one. Stan just didn't get the first one actually, which was Perez. So yeah, but Stan won at the end. Stan at the comment.
The first one wasn't Francis Coquelin. You sure about that?
Now I have to go back and check whether Francis Coquelin played between 2000 and 2006. So yeah, but
Wow.
but yeah, Stan's the winner. Like
All right.
I guess,
Nice one,
and
Stan.
we have to take a picture.
Nice one. Okay, let me type it up here. Okay.
Who's going to take this picture? Ray or someone has to take the picture.
All right, let me see. You, whoever.
Ray,
Wait till I
please
post
take the
this
picture.
up.
Sorry.
Wait till I post this up. Who was third? We'll say Mahir was third.
Mahir was third. Yeah. Yeah, Mahir got 2.
Oh no. Tony.
I got 2. Actually, I got 3.
All right.
No. Yeah, Mahir got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Yeah. Sorry about that.
All right.
Was it
Oh,
sick one?
oh, Stan.
Stan, the man.
Stan was the man.
Good one.
No, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed.
Yeah. That at times I was like, is this like too much this thing? But yeah, I mean, you guys proved that you guys have that memory now.
All right,
Right.
Tony.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to present one next week, Tony. Or maybe I will.
It's gonna be definitely. What does Rohan not know? I'm gonna like quiz him only on that. Rob his nose in the dirt.
Ron,
Yeah.
that was a good one.
It'll probably be the weather cycle throughout the year in Oklahoma.
How many tornadoes did Oklahoma have last year?
Yeah, Ray, you were saying.
I had quite a nice comment from when we did the Mark Overmars birthday video. We did
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
did a little thing. A guy from the Netherlands said, S2E31 was Overmar's first club, and it stands for Sport Club East Netherlands. A true hero. Nice you guys did this. He was a businessman while he played. He was developed by the Go Ahead Eagles in Deventer in Netherlands. Google that club, a typical English club and stadium. And I was checking that out last night. And something I did not know about Overmars, he actually finished his career back at that club. So he returned to his roots at the end of his career. I just wanted to mention that. So it was a nice thing.
Can I also say as well, just for everybody in the chat box, if you don't know how long you've been watching the show, but Arsenal released a Dennis Bergkamp documentary yesterday. It's about an hour and 20 minutes long. It's on their YouTube channel. And what's good about it is that, with this documentary, it's all introduced by Dennis. He takes you through his whole career rather than just having other people talking about his career. Dennis is the main focus. So if you've not seen it, check it out. It's quite good.
So it's readily accessible, right, Stan? On YouTube, right?
Go to YouTube, go to the Arsenal channel, and it's right there. It
Perfect.
just basically came up on my alerts out the blue yesterday.
And you don't have to be a member; you can watch it, right?
No, it's not just YouTube.
Okay. All right. Cool. Listen, I want to say thanks for everyone for joining. Rohan, thanks for the quiz, and we actually got some of the topics as well from you. So big up yourself, Stan. Thanks for coming in.
Cheers.
Tony, thanks for being a good sport. And Mahir, Gun the News, the co-host. Thanks for joining us. And you're going to be here till the end today. You didn't catapult out of here.
That's a good joke that you guys interrupt the conversations. I enjoyed that. Good luck.
One of these days, I'm going to be giving away an item for a quiz, and we're going to ask which video did Mahir catapult out of.
Wily Coyote.
You want the quick question. Guys, will give it quick because they'll know.
All right. As always, hey, we hit the 2-hour mark. We don't always set out to hit 2 marks. It's just 2-hour mark. It just happens organically. And yeah, thanks for joining us again. Everyone, stay safe. Get out, get into the sunshine, but respect the social distancing, respect the virus, and be careful out there. Okay. Take care of your loved ones, everyone, and thanks for joining me, people.
Bless
Until
up,
next
people.
time. We're out of here.